So back at the hardware store in Goodnight, you come in the front door, and generally folks keep walking straight on. But when you walk past, there's a little bit of a cookbook. Some of our jerky, most of our jerky is over here, and some cookbooks on bison and Western cooking. And then we've been doing some local honeys, Texas honeys that are pretty dang good stuff. There is another little case when you walk in that has got some handmade mugs made by a very good friend of ours in Amarillo. We have a bison on one side and a Texas map on the other side, and a few other of the mugs. The chili blend from High Mountain Seasonings, our Growing Blue Flowers natural body balm and what she calls stress rub, bison tallow and bear grease, some of her soaps. We're real low ebb on that stuff. And then, although we don't do much, we don't really ship that stuff out, our Goodnight Gardens salsas and preserves and pickles and things of that sort that come out of Jacksonville, Texas. Gourmet Gardens is the company that does them. And of course, there's always stuff in process. We've got some knives that came in. There are some really interesting elk bud carved belt buckles, some Murano glass. They're actually bulls. They're not bison, but they called them bison. And some pens that a local fellow makes out of wood from the Goodnight Ranch. Then, if we kind of flip around, try not to get too crazy here. We have a long counter that has small leather goods, purses, wallets, money clips, some flasks, some briefcases, some of our bandanas, more leather bags, ladies' totes, a few briefcases, travel bags. Our bison leather gun pistol cases we're really low on. We're expecting another shipment in the next 2 weeks. And just some other eclectic things as you go. Turning around towards the left side here, we get into the jewelry cases. There's all kinds of turquoise, inlay, native. Most of it domestic. There's a few things that are imported. A lot of it is small local artisans. Franklin and Bessie Key from New Mexico, from Crown Point. Silver Pearl Ranch has sent us a lot of it. And then we get some vintage pieces in. There's some things that, in fact, there's one down here that just had out of the case. This came from it's a 1 ounce silver round and a sterling chain that a truck driver actually brought to us. Some more of the less expensive jewelry, some other things that we end up with, buckles from Chuck Hone, some bolo ties of different kinds, some carved pipes. Originally we got, these are mostly meerschaum, there are some that are briar, but we had a bison sitting back behind a stump, which is kind of how we got going. Then we ended up with a couple of the eagles. There's a couple of different companies. A Horsehead, there were some cowboys there. Well, there's one cowboy left. It's just some amazing carvings. And these are all, I'm told, hand done. There's another one of the Horseheads up here. We still have a few of the shotgun rolls. It's a 20 nickel or a $1 roll of nickels, but these were rolled up back in the 30s when the Buffalo nickel was still the only nickel in circulation before the Jefferson nickel came up. And there's a few more. There's other pieces of jewelry here in the case. Our muskox buddy up here, because we do a fair amount of the muskox fiber from Jacques Cartier. You'll see some of the sweaters down here. We've got hats and scarves. That's kind of what the chest is. This is some more of our upper end bison leather vests or handmade vests, some coats back there. Not a lot of sweaters. We carry a few sweaters, and then we get into the bison hides. You can't quite see. This normally is filled, but we've been so low on hides right now. I'm still waiting on oil to get them tanned. We've got 130 of them coming, hopefully by the middle of March. We've got some other furs, mostly that we use for trims. There's some fox, there's a few wolves, otters, what's back here, coyotes, bobcats. And then we get over into some of our clothing. Some of the bison shearling vests and other bison vests. These are mostly ladies right now. The men's are pretty well gone. That's an interesting, that's a vintage wolf piece, came out of Alaska. I haven't really checked. I think it's elk. It may be brain tan deer. Just an interesting piece. Raccoon coats, or raccoon vests, really neat pieces that one of our local gals, Sue Vinson, does, along with some of the hats. Right now we're at very low ebb on our bison or our fur coats, mostly bison, but we do this. The brown one is river otter. We have some of those, mostly vintage. Some are repurposed. Our vest selection, men's and ladies, as you come down. And then we wander on into the next part of the store. These are just some shirts, windbreakers with some Native American designs on them. Interesting stuff. There's also some more on this side. We've got some fur hats. I didn't really get all the fur hats. There's more in the back. You can't really see them. Earmuffs, gloves, boot toppers. It's one of the interesting things that Sue makes are these bobcat, coyote, fox, all local critters, things that get trapped and get utilized. One of her raccoon hats, skunk hat, and then this is a cougar helmet, Charles Sinclair, another one of the locals put together. Beautiful, beautiful piece. There's a cougar in the tree. All right, so that's the small side of the store. I'm going to walk you through the doorway into what starts out as the art gallery and then quickly changes to other things. And I'm going to drop off and get a new start on the other part of the store.